Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. This is Joe Shoop with my co-host Mark Stevens. We are very excited to have the guest we have on today. So let me say good morning, Shirley. Good morning, our manager.
Good morning.
Thanks for a great job you do in getting us all in line here today. Mark, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Joe. I'm fantastic and amazing and excited about our guest today.
Yeah, aren't we excited? This is a great day, and I want to do a few things before we get started, Mark. I actually want to read something here. And before we introduce JC and Dr. Needham, we've made these announcements. We've showed people some bios from Dr. Needham, and people should be excited about that because we really have something special here. And thanks to you, Mark, making all these connections and being friends with JC and having this all work. So let me just make something very, very clear. So let me say good morning to everyone and. Good morning, Vicki, Jane. Yeah, hello, Jane. Welcome. And Jane will be with us next week as well, one of the partners and administrators. I guess JC will give us our official title when we get over there. But let me just go through this a second. Let me address something and make it very clear to the people who are listening and will listen on YouTube and the replay. And that is this. I'm going to address the people and other companies that are in other companies, any company, and especially Cooler Brands or Carrot Bars people. Let me make this clear. The Breakfast Club has been around for 18 years. It is not specific to any company. We're here, as always, to help people succeed. That was the original concept 18 years ago, through education, through collaboration with one another, but it was designed for entrepreneurs to come together to discuss money-making strategies, to help one another. That was the original design, and at some point we made it specific to certain companies, and that's true in the recent past here. But we've gone back to our original format, and there's a reason for that. But I've had discussions, just to keep some people at calm here, is that we've had discussions with both founders of Cooler Brands, both Doug and Peter. And both Doug and Peter are excited about the relationship that Mark has built with the owners of the companies we're going to be talking about today. So let's make it clear. We're not trying to recruit to these companies at this stage. We're just as Cooler Brands has other companies such as MobiCard involved. This is the relationship will go in that direction, although we won't be talking about crowdfunding. This is an existing company here that we're talking about. And the reason we are is because these individuals are professional people. These are educated business people who clearly understand the industry, understand business, and also understand the need for helping people. We need to help people, and that's where their hearts are. That's been that way for years and years. They've just had that sincere desire, as Peter and Doug do, to help people who have not been successful in this home business arena. So you're going to meet these people today, and these individuals, have always, as I said, had that sincere desire to help others succeed. They own a company. JC started a company, a concept that can help any company on the planet reach their goals. JC Hill has developed a plan that can help Cooler Brands, but not only grow, but to grow rapidly, and enabling Cooler Brands to bring bigger projects to the marketplace, all the while creating an instant income, much like MobiCard did for some of those people. And again, this is not a crowdfunding proposal, but rather a significant way to expand Cooler Brands, or any company for that matter, for the betterment of the community. So we're going to find out today exactly who these individuals are. Of course, we know that, but you're going to find that out. And how these business executives can enhance any company, including Cooler Brands. So we are very fortunate that Mark Stevens has this relationship with JC Hill. And through Mark, I met both JC and Dr. Needham and Jane. And We're basically going to have the discussion today, not a presentation, not talking about income with their company. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we're not going to go through that. Next week, we're going to talk about that. But I just want to give you a little background on JC before we introduce him here, and then Mark will kind of move forward with us. But let me look for that bio for us, JC, so I can get this correctly. I know I pulled it up here. But anyway, let me say this. Good morning, JC. How are you today?
Good morning, Joseph. Nice to be here. And hello, everybody.
We're excited to have you. Mark, you want to jump in a minute here with JC? You're the person who brought this to us, so I want to just make sure I have this right bio in front of us.
Well, I'll say this. Even though I kid with him a lot and everything, I call JC Hill a savant. Y'all can look that up on your spare time. But seriously, what attracted me to him as well as his heart. He has a heart for people. And in this industry, 97% of the people make little or no money. And JC has come up with a plan that solves the 97%. And when he shared it with me, I just wanted to share it with the world. And JC also introduced me to Dr. Needham. And I will say this to you all. You have a treat, and you'll have something, as you will see, that you just don't get every day, at least for what we're going to be able to share with him and he shares with us in the future. Your futures will change. I will say that. And that I'm very thankful to both of them because they have, in the short time that I've known them, they have taught me a lot. And and y'all know me, I want the world to change. And I always say that we must first be the change in us that we want to see in the world. And when you meet gentlemen like this and you collaborate with them and you know their heart, then you can really see change and you can be, that's why I stay so excited. I had to find another level and I found it. It's infinity now. And there's another level beyond that. And when I find that, I will let y'all know. But I'm very excited today, Joe, that we have these gentlemen that are willing to share their heart, their experience, and what their vision is and what it can be for us as well with Cooler Brands and any other company that we talk about, because what they have can affect any and every company, whether it be online, offline, brick and mortar, everything. So I'm just super excited today.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, Mark. This is you'll relate to these, and those are listening here, and you're trying to get your communication skills down. Watch how these questions are asked. So I'm going to direct this at you, Mark, as a prospect, so to speak. If I can show you a way to receive royalties on new products that enter the marketplace, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to know more about that?
No, I would love to know about that.
Okay. Well, as you know, getting products to the marketplace takes time. It actually takes time to get there, and people don't get instant income from doing that. And Cooler Brands is no different from that. We bring products to the marketplace, and when we get them there and crowdfund them and so on, it takes time for those products to enter the marketplace. But here's the second question. Yes.
There are people that are having trouble getting in. It tells them that they're supposed to watch this on YouTube.
Well, they can go watch it on YouTube if they like.
Well, they can't get on right now.
I can't help them at this stage. I don't know what their problem is. Other people are on, so we don't know what that is.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, Mark, the question, is that getting those products to the marketplace takes time. So here's the question. If I could show you how to receive an immediate income while those products were being developed, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to know more about that?
No, that sounds even better.
All right. So what I'm going to do is send you over some information. What I'd like you to do is review the information. We're going to get back together again, And at that point, we'll see if we're still on the same page. So let me ask you this. Would today at 3 o'clock be good, or would 3:20 be better for you to get back together?
3 o'clock is just fine.
I'm going to go ahead and pencil that in, and so on. Now, that's how you would lead into a phone call. If you listen to that, you'd hear how you ask the question. So let me go over, but thanks, Mark, for that. I wanted people to understand the relationship here. I think everybody gets it here. So let me say this. Let me tell you about JC. And excuse me for turning my head a little bit. I need to read these things, obviously. But this JC Hill finished high school in 1969. And JC, that's just a year after me. So we're same age.
Yep.
He's an accomplished athlete, receiving most valuable honors in 3 different sports. Although a valuable team player, he excelled in the individual sport of track and field and won the county championships 2 years in a row. When joining the workforce, JC worked directly with doctors and nurses in the psychiatric department in a newly developed field known as behavior modification, where he experienced great success. A few years later, JC made the transition into the restaurant business. Starting as a busboy, he worked his way to a professional and successful dining room manager of a 3-star restaurant. Now, in 1977, he joined the Air Force, and within 3 years became a sergeant, an E4. And later used his GI Bill to attend specialized college courses in computer sciences and created a software solution, receiving high marks for his accomplishments. Now, after serving his time in the United States Air Force, he went on to work for a fundraising company working in San Francisco Bay Area with an up-and-coming giant called Apple Computer. And at the time, Macintosh computers were just being announced to the world. It's dating us a little bit, JC. Then after moving back home to Indiana, JC started working for a computer store as a desktop publishing specialist, and in the late 90s created a software program that was recognized and sold internationally with articles written in 3 different desktop publishing trade magazines. Now, in the early 2000s, he created a popular e-commerce program and went on to create 5 referral marketing programs. JC mastered the art of working successfully with teams of developers and programmers, as well as website designers. Now, JC's past experiences and his desire to help others succeed has led him to create and develop a company that helps people succeed regardless of their skill and level of experience. That company is called the Power of 3 Squared and is poised to become one of those companies that come along once in a while, kind of like Cooler Brands, that has the ability to change the future of those who take advantage of that opportunity. So, JC, welcome to the Breakfast Club, and I'm glad that you are here. We'll get to Dr. Needham in a minute.
Thank you, Joseph. I got to tell you, I love this industry. What industry am I talking about? Referral marketing, network marketing, multi-level marketing. And I participated with intense participation in 1979 all the way through 2000. Worked with big companies, and I got to tell you, wasn't jumping from one program to another. I tried my best to succeed. I'm one of these firm believers that whether you believe you can or you believe you cannot, you're right. But I believed that I could, and I worked hard, got my name in magazines for my recruiting effort, but I wasn't making any serious money. So I had to be doing these other things. Well, around 2000, I said, what is wrong with this picture? Now, I wasn't trying to find blame in somebody else. I was just saying there's something wrong, because there were tremendous amount of millionaires being made in this industry. Tremendous, more than anything else ever. But there was a tremendous amount of fallout from people not succeeding. And if you know anybody that went through that era, almost everybody tried network marketing and for whatever reason didn't succeed. But I said, why is there so much fallout? Now, I started analyzing the industry, much like you analyze a situation that with somebody that needs some behavior modification in the research that I was doing. So I'd learned from that. And I had come to the conclusion that there was lack of balance. Now, what do I mean by that? There are three entities in this industry. One is the company, of course. Second is leaders. And third is the masses. Well, the money comes from the masses, but the focus was always on the company and the leaders. They're like in cahoots together, trying to work out, the leaders is telling the company what they need to do. Well, they have their bias about what the comp plan should be that favors a leader. And the companies just wanting to get the product out. And they may or may not have ever been leaders in this industry, but their goal is to get the product out. So who do they think they need to work with? The leaders.
Sure.
Because they're going to bring the masses. Somebody trying to say something?
I just said, sure. I agree.
Oh, yeah. So what if you stop and think about a camera tripod? If you've got two strong legs and one weak leg, what's going to happen? It's going to fall over, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you would think that I would say, well, you got to give an equal amount of focus to the masses to create balance. And you would be going in the right direction. But that's not how I feel. I feel like you've got to put 100% focus on the masses. The little guy, help the little guy succeed when he hasn't before. The leaders and the companies win by default. So that creates balance by focusing 100% on the masses. Help them succeed. And I got to tell you, I've seen this over the years. You help somebody that has not succeeded before, and they become evangelistic about it. Leaders get out of their way. They're going to run you over. They're on a mission from God. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's how I design my plans. Now, as Joseph said, I've had quite a bit of success there, but I've had a lot of failure too from the mistakes that I've made and have learned from. And one of those mistakes was choosing wrong partners. That can be catastrophic to everybody. But I have learned from my mistakes, and I have one of the best people I know as a human, and he is also the number one authority, in my opinion, in the whole country, and got to be in the top 5 in the whole world on a subject called co-ops or cooperatives. He understands them very well, and that's how we were introduced to each other. And I started seeing some amazing benefits of a cooperative. And so I asked him more, got to know him a lot better, and really liked the guy. And we just developed our relationship, and his background just blows me away. The man's brilliant. I am not. Mark told me that he calls me Mr. Savant, and I always laugh and say, yeah, idiot savant. And you can look that up. It's right under savant, idiot savant. Okay. And, but anyway, like Rain Man, if you will. But I really appreciate and would like to introduce, and maybe you need to read the bio on him first, Joseph, but Dr.
That's a good idea. I'll do that, and then we can go there, and then, of course, Mark will be with us with this. Let me just, for those of you that did not read the email that went out yesterday with the information and bio with Dr. Robert A. Needham, let me read this for you. Dr. Needham is a business advisor, coach, innovator, economic and social theorist, author, public speaker, scientist, thought leader in the collaborative and cooperative movements. He's also a thought leader in financial services, franchising, cooperatives, and public and private governance. Robert has written several books, 17 to be exact, and white papers which have introduced innovation and new ideas in over 90 industries and have been used by business and nonprofit leaders internationally. Now, some of the books that Dr. Needham's include 2017 to 2023, From Scarcity to Abundance, which I believe is coming out next month. Collaborative Commonwealth. Why divide when you can multiply? Sow a seed, feed a nation. Wealth 3.0. Saving America, one small business at a time. Solving the puzzle of owning a franchise. Stop renting your life and own it instead. Now, Dr. Needham is the president of Spectrum Advanced Markets, a business advisor and consultant to for-profit, nonprofit, ministry, and cooperative business concepts. As a scientist, Dr. Needham has a highly decorated military career that included a member of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is NASA, the National Space Transportation System, which is the NSTS Space Shuttle, Power 8 and Ascent Design Team in Houston, United States Command, and also worked as a consultant to the government as a defense contractor. Now, as a public speaker, Dr. Needham has spoken at numerous conventions and conferences on missions, strategic planning, franchising, ministry development, cooperatives, and new trends. He recently spoke at the 2014 Future of Money and Technology Summit in San Francisco. Dr. Needham has also appeared on numerous television and radio stations, as well as being featured in several newspaper, internet, and industry magazines. So I am happy to turn it back to you, JC, to introduce your good friend and business partner.
Well, I'm very excited to introduce to everybody my good friend and business partner, Dr. Robert Needham.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be with you on this show. Thanks to Joseph and Mark for inviting us. Just so you kind of get a feel for the pictures that you're seeing on the screen, JC is the one in the white jacket, and I'm the one in the navy blue jacket with the light blue shirt, if that matters. You know, I thank you for reading my profile. You know, what's really is true about me is I was born to a carpenter and a textile worker. And so my life began with pretty humble beginnings, but my parents always said to me, you can do anything you choose to do. And so I reached literally for space and other things to do. And so I thank you for that profile. But what I really think I can do is, as you said, help these people figure out how to become successful.
Yep.
So,
tell us a little bit about, and Mark, if you have any questions, just jump in here. I know you do. So tell us about, helping people, because especially we're going to talk a little bit about rings, of wisdom. So I'm excited about that, because that program the whole program is unbelievable to help people get started and to finish and to show them how to be successful. Tell us about how this all comes about for you.
Well, when I spent some time, I spent some time with JC talking about the industry. And so that for the last 8 years, I have been developing crowdsourcing, or some people refer to it as crowdfunding, and other types of technologies. And those technologies centered around the idea of the sharing economy. And of course, two of the crown jewels in the sharing economy are companies like Uber or Airbnb. And so I'd spent a fair amount of time learning about them. Of course, I'd spent an exorbitant amount of time learning about cooperatives, as JC mentioned before. And what I realized is that by 2020, so in just 3 short years from now, the industry says that 50% of Americans will be freelancers. And what that means is that half of America will own their own business and no longer work for someone else. Now that's shocking if you think about it, because if that's not you, it's the person standing next to you. And so when we realize that the world as we know it, or the world that my parents grew up in, has completely changed. My mother went to work for a textile company. She stayed there for 40 years. She retired, got a pension and a cuckoo clock, but today, if you're at a job more than 7 years, you're considered stagnant.
Yeah.
And we all know that the benefits that used to hold us in these jobs are fading, and the world is changing. The reason it's changing is because there's a great common denominator, and that's technology. And the sharing economy leverages that technology by creating an online, agile, disruptive structure that can change an industry. So the network marketing industry has been around since at least the early 60s with the advent of Amway and other companies like Costco and other companies like that. And so it has helped, as was said earlier, millions of people to become millionaires. It's also helped millions of people wonder why they can't be successful. So when JC and I were talking about how we might disrupt the network marketing industry, how we might bring this new technology to an industry that is ripe for change, we created these ideas of what we call the micro enterprise system. And what we're about is helping companies that exist today and companies that we might create to join together and unify. Now, the way we unify them is through what JC mentioned was a cooperative. And there's some reasons we use the cooperative. Now, I happen to have 2 doctoral degrees. The first one is in law, and the second one is in business administration. And that really doesn't matter, except that I do know how to research business structures. And by my clients, whom I've had for many years, I've had my practice for 30 years, tell me that I'm an expert at what is called business governance, meaning I know how to structure a company to be sound and to also keep the owners and the people involved out of trouble. One of the beautiful things about cooperative is that it allows a group of people, we call it a crowd, and so it allows the crowd to come together and unify in a common cooperative association, just like you might think of AARP or something like that. You join a cooperative, and then by being a part of that cooperative, that membership is exempt from the Federal Trade Commission's acts related to antitrust. It's exempt from the Securities and Exchange Commission's rulings on securities. It has ownership. The members actually own the cooperative. So therefore, it lives forever as long as the members want it to live. So you no longer have to worry about companies that come and go, because the cooperative will stay together as long as the members want to stay together. So we put together these structures, and this is how we think we're going to be able to help what would be 150 million people who will come into the freelancing side. So I know we've had lots of people in our industry before, but there will be 150 million people enter this industry between now and 2020. And so for those of you that are already experienced in networking and have great companies to represent, it'll give you the opportunity to find new teams to build, or what we say, new crowds to create. But one of the hardest parts, and I'll kind of stop here, Joseph, and let you ask some more questions. One of the hardest parts of our industry, the network marketing industry, is building your team. And just about the time you get it built, sometimes the companies either change the comp plan, or the company goes out of business, or whatever else might happen to cause you to not be with that company anymore. And one of the most difficult things to do is to build your team. So imagine now building your team. Your team is your asset. It's not the company. It's not the product. As JC said, it's the people. The most valuable thing that you will do in this industry is create your crowd. And so we want to show you how to be the crowd-owned cloud. That's a little trademark we came up with, to where you own your own crowd within the cloud in technology, and it can market whatever product it chooses, but you don't lose the integrity of your team. So with that, let me see if there's any more questions.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a real quick question here, and JC, I wanted you to address a couple things here as well. But I want to say it's not even a question; it's a comment that there's probably people from Cooler Brands hearing this and saying, "Oh my God, that's us, because Peter Gantner's heart is right where you're talking." That's why I thought after we spoke and Mark brought this to me was that there was clearly a relationship here between minds, and I thought that there could be some success here with that. But JC, why don't you explain to us about, and we could talk a little bit about money. I mean, most people have problems with entering a company and how much does this cost and what is this going to charge. Why don't you tell us the structure of the beginning and then even the structure of rings and what that would and how an individual can participate financially. Why don't we do that?
Well, Power of Three Squared is designed to provide the marketing tools and the training for the programs that it supports. We call this MAS, multi-program synchronous system, automated synchronous system, that MASS, and it. By just bringing in the team to that, and it has its own income stream, but we've designed it to where it is really logical to pay it forward for people. Now, you couldn't do that on any kind of large scale if it was expensive to come in. To participate in the Power of Three Squared is $3 every 28 days. But one of the programs that it supports is a phone app that Dr. Needham has called Shout. That's like a combination of WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. And it's soon to be launched. It's a free app, but you can upgrade in it for a one-time $3, and you can go to the turbo version for $6 per month. So you can see a trend here of micro payments. Okay, microeconomy is what we're talking about. But to make that work, you really have to have a massive amount of people. And the third program, 7 Rings of Wealth, is designed for that, to bring the masses. And I don't think anything ever has been built like this. The compensation plan is very unique in that it's $5 to participate, one-time $5 out of pocket. And what we do is help leverage that $5 into a rather large amount of money over 7 levels, hence 7 rings. And it just where it's coming out of your earnings. And yet we know that you still need to have quite a bit of money going to your pocket, because that's why you're there. So we've got to balance that balanced out. The product there is wisdom. And that's where Dr. Needham is providing the 7 rings of wisdom. And oh my goodness, we're so excited about the product. Everybody would absolutely love what they can learn here. And, it's not one of the sexiest things that you can think about, continued education. But I will tell you that it is the number one selling item on the internet is continued education. And so what you will learn from Dr. Needham, his wife, Dr. Cheryl Ann Needham, and their team that they're putting together of life coaches, if you will, is astonishing. And everybody will get great value from that. So we focus very much on the product. The marketing tools that we'll have in Power 3 Squared will be simple and easy to use. But the nice thing about what is going to build all of this in extreme numbers. You'll be shocked when you hear the kind of numbers that we will have within a year. Is just one little element of 7 rings, and that is what we have figured out to a way that it makes not only good sense, it's logical to pay it forward for people. And when I say pay it forward, that means if I invite you to it, I will want logically to pay your $5 for entry fee because of the almost immediate gain that I can have from that in the potential of a 400% gain within probably 3 or 4 days. And I'll do that over and over and over again. So will everybody else. Okay. So there are people around the world that probably not on this call, but you know they're there, that $5 is monumental. It's huge. And we as a co-op are going to go out and find people who have this massive need, but have access to the internet. They have to have access to the internet. They have this great desire, and we don't want to offer them a handout. We think that's just like the fish story. You know, you feed a man fish and you take care of him for a meal, but if you teach him to fish, you're gonna help him for a lifetime. And that's what we want to do. We want to offer a hand up and help these people change their lives. And we'll pay the $5 for them to come in, but on an individual basis, you'll want to pay for people to come in. That makes a whole different scenario where you're not really recruiting. You are, it's more than sharing. It's like you are blessing people with the opportunity to participate in this. And that's going to change everything.
Let's go back to the app, JC, and tell me if you can a little bit. Jane expanded on that last night about reaching 30 million people and so on. And I'm not clear on that myself, but I tell you the truth, I got excited, and I'm going to throw this in because I'm going to tell you what excited me. The initial introduction when Mark talked to me, because we are involved in a company where we buy precious metals. I know Peter is, and many people do that. They want to buy gold and silver. When I heard and I looked at this and I said, oh my gosh, this first project is about buying gold at spot price for a simple, tiny fee again, and I'm able to buy. We're paying $20 over spot in our companies, thinking we got a good deal because it's a networking company. We're talking about here about buying gold at spot price. Now, here's the reason this works for me. When I saw that, I said, and again, I want to talk about this app, but when I looked at this, I said, my gosh, can you imagine? Let's just take Cooler Brands, for instance. If we were able to help people in those areas be able to, because we're involved in crowdfunding, and supporting projects. Imagine how many more projects we could support and larger products we could support by utilizing a program like this. So tell us a little bit more about that phone app.
Well, I'm going to let Robert talk about the phone app, but I'll interject. An upgrade in Power 3 Squared is called VIP membership, and that is a one-time $21. Again, very low price. And and you can earn money by bringing people to that and introducing them to that. But I don't know where you could possibly go buy silver and gold at spot. Now, for the last 7 years, I have been very concerned, matter of fact, convinced that we would see fiat currency fail. And believe me, if the U.S. dollar fails, it's going to collapse worldwide. And I've had a lot of people over the years tell me that is never going to happen. Well, my response back to that is, I don't know how it cannot happen. Fiat currency has always failed. It always will fail. And if you listen to Robert Kiyosaki or Michael Maloney, they'll tell you it is doomed. But something that has been around for over 2,000 years is silver and gold as money. And I have developed a relationship with a gentleman in Delaware. He's an international precious metal dealer. and he has a 15,000 square foot vault that's insured by Lloyd's of London, and he is thinking like I am in regards to precious metal. And I know that a lot of people want to hold precious metal in their hands, and that's fine. And you'll be able to do that through them. But if you were to have, and I'm going to use a word that would help you realize what this may be, but it's more, and we won't give it legally this name because we don't want to get into jurisdictional problems. But if you were to have a savings account that was 100% backed by silver or 100% backed by gold, you could have two separate savings accounts, and you can purchase gold at spot. Now, when I introduced this idea to him, he said, JC, I can't buy precious metal at spot. I said, I understand that. What he will make his money on is the exchange. Okay. When people want to exchange their saving account, silver and gold, for physically delivered silver and gold. But I said, I want you to first understand that this silver and gold doesn't leave the vault. It's allocated. That means it's there, verified by an independent third party. It is not segregated. In other words, you don't have your own pile. You have your part of a silver or gold bar. Okay. And like I said, it's verified and insured. And we're not charging you for storage. We're not charging you for insurance. You just purchase at spot, and which is amazing. That is absolutely amazing that you can buy at spot, which means you can buy more for the same dollar.
Yeah.
And then now what our dream is down the road is that if there was a collapse of fiat currency, or let's say when there is a collapse, okay, you're not going to be able to go into a store or a gas station and purchase goods with silver and gold. That isn't going to happen. They'll look at you like, are you crazy? They don't have a way to weigh it, value it, determine the purity of it. That can't happen. But yet people want to hoard it. Those who are concerned about fiat currency, believing that they have an instant solution. Well, what can the stores take? They can take a debit card. So we plan on having a silver debit card and a gold debit card that when you go and use that card, you'll actually be spending the silver and gold that you have. Without having to resell it, you're just using that silver and gold. Just like if you were to go into Europe and spend dollars off your card, the merchant is getting euros. Okay. So here, the merchant isn't getting silver or gold. They're getting dollars or wherever in the world you're using it. Okay. So that's our long range plan with that. And we're trying to get that launched as fast as we can. The software is built. We're just trying to get the developers together. But I'm really excited about the phone app. And that too will be bringing in massive numbers. But I want Robert, Dr. Needham, to address that. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, so like I said, the last few years we've been working on technology, and I've had the opportunity to study the competition. And remember, this is about disruption. And those who disrupt industries are hugely successful. Like I said, Uber disrupted the taxi business and Airbnb, the hotel business. Well, there's a theory now about disrupting the disruptors. And so we've all used a search engine, and search engines like Google or Yahoo have all become billionaires when the crowd used them, and they didn't send us anything. They didn't give us any of that money. And then, the social media sites like Facebook and so on have come about, and they've made billions of dollars off the crowd, and the crowd made nothing. And then there is instant messaging apps, and LinkedIn just sold for $28 billion to Microsoft. But nobody at LinkedIn got a check the crowd always gets left out. It's sort of like JC was talking about in network marketing. The crowd always pays for it, but never gets anything back. It's the leadership and the shareholders that get to keep all the money. Well, this time we're going to change that. You know, to quote the old movie Network, came out about 40 years ago, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. So we've created a system, and this system utilizes this strategy across all of our platforms, but in particular this phone app. So what we did was we took the best of the best. We figured that with Twitter, you're limited to 140 characters. So for free, you can download our app. You have 200 characters of message and a 50-character headline, and you're able to do all this stuff. But if you upgrade to Turbo, you can add other features to it, including a 600-word message and a 50-word headline. And so what we've agreed to do is to pay out a substantial amount of the $6 per month that Turbo costs. So now let's show you just how this can multiply. Today, according to all the analysts out there, the average person has 300 contacts in their telephone. And I didn't believe that when I heard that until I went and checked my own phone and realized I had 436 contacts in my phone. What we're doing is using a little bit of intelligent software so that when it downloads your app to allow you to use this communication, so it's instant message, both private and public. Public in that it's like Twitter and Facebook, private and it's like WhatsApp and it's one-on-one or one to a group. And it's fully encrypted in the private side, and it's not, of course, in the public side because of the other thing. But what we allow you to do is take advantage of this crowd being built and upgrading to Turbo. And so we'll be paying out a minimum of $4, possibly as much as the whole $6 if you qualify for all the bonuses of the money that's being received for the app. And you say, well, why would we do this? Well, why wouldn't we do this? We're trying to build the crowd. And so the crowd needs to be able to communicate. So what we're doing is we're taking one of the most valuable business tools, communication, and we're making that a micro enterprise for you. I remember back about 15 years ago when I purchased some software and became what was called an intercept processor for the ATM industry. We had about 8,000 ATMs attached to us doing about 1 million transactions a month. Now, after I paid everybody, I made about a nickel per transaction. But that was about $50,000 a month. With this app, it will automatically invite your friends to download the app for free. And then if they upgrade to Turbo, for every one of your personal referrals that you do that, you make $1 a month. And then 50 cents through 6 more levels of growth. Unlimited width, but limited depth. I share that with you in that here's what's amazing. We already have more than 1 million people who said that they want our app when we release it in May. If they all truly have 300 contacts, many of them will be doubled up. You can't imagine that. But if you were to consider the fact that only 100,000 people would join the first month, and they each sent out 100 people a message out, and only 10 of them signed up right away, we would go from 100,000 to 1 million overnight, and from 1 million to 10 million quickly. So it's a global product. There's just slightly more than 6 billion people on this planet. 90-something% of them have a cell phone. So it's a way to reach the crowd. Once you have them in your crowd, you can then introduce them to the many other products and services that we have, or invite them to help you with crowdfunding or whatever the case may be. Remember, the crowd is where the value is. No longer do we consider people an expense. People are the asset, not the product. And so as we build these groups, and this is the philosophy, in my new book that's coming out in May, it's called From Scarcity to Abundance. It gives a 7-year window because I think this great change is going to take place from 2017 to 2023. Those of us who capture that opportunity will become the new millionaires and billionaires of this new industry. And you'll own it from multiple streams of income so that if any one of them, for whatever reason, stops, you'll still have income every month from your crowd. So once again, it's about building the crowd.
Robert,
in the cloud.
one of the things that I think worth mentioning is that a company, a very big company, got excited about what you were doing.
We're getting an echo, JC. Somebody needs to turn their mic down or their speaker down. We're getting an echo somewhere.
Right. I agree. But would you just address for just a minute the benefit that people are going, the people using this phone is going to get just because of the relationship you built with the people in the travel industry?
Well, there's a group of people who, in the travel industry, there's tiers. There's tier 2, which is the retail travel industry, that we know when you go to like Expedia or Travelocity or whatever. Behind that, there's tier 1, which is the actual wholesalers who buy up all the travel in the country. And so all those websites really buy from just 2 or 3 wholesalers who purchase all the stuff. So what happened is I was introduced to one of the wholesalers. And so we call everything that we're doing in the co-op the nation. It's a nation without borders. It's a global community. The official name is Collaborate Co-op, but when you join for free, you automatically are a member of this co-op. And we refer to it as hashtag the nation. And so we have a thing now called the nation.bigtravel.com. By doing that, we actually buy the hotels and stuff at the wholesale rate, not the retail rate. And that can save you as much as 50% on the price of Travelocity. What's great about that is there's a small portion of that you save that actually comes back to the co-op in the form of a rebate. And you say, well, what are you going to do with that money? Well, in another time, in another channel, when we're having a chance to talk, I'll share with you what it means to become a share member of the co-op. And then those profits are split with the share members, just like your profits are being split in your crowdfunding. And it's just slightly a different way. But you can imagine if we call them nations apps. If there's 100 concepts out there that we're helping to promote and they're giving us a revenue share, and that revenue share right now averages between 10 and 50%. That's a big pile of money to be split by a group of people every month. And we've been doing that consistently now for almost 2 years. Every month, sending out a check to the share members. So we want you to know that there's many ways to do this. And we want you to have spent less than, say, $500 when you're done. Join half a dozen programs that fit you. And when you're in those programs that your crowd participates with you in, then now you have these multiple streams of income and your micro enterprise is generating substantial revenue for you and your family. This is our dream. It's not to build a particular company. It's to unify the crowd one time. We live in a world that's fairly disunified at this time. And so there's a thing called contrarianism. When you go contrary to the way the market is going, that's where the real opportunity for wealth is. Now, wealth is not income. Income is what you make and spend. Wealth is what you accumulate and leverage. And then after wealth comes abundance. And we can talk about abundance another time too. But anyway, I hope that answered the question the way you wanted. I know we're coming up on our hour here. So, Joe or Mark, do you have any other questions for us? Otherwise, man, I think we've had a great time today.
Mark, what about you?
Yeah, well, I had a question, but I know the time is gone, and we can address that next week. But I would like to say that when I when I think about JC and Dr. Needham, JC is an individual that seems to take a little and turn it into a lot, and Dr. Needham is that other individual to show you how to preserve it by having a better life and by having the knowledge to keep it. Because I always ask people, would you rather be rich or would you rather be wealthy? Now, rich, which means to me residual income creates happiness. Rich people still work for other people. Wealthy people don't. And what Dr. Needham has in store for us, so you want to come back next week and keep coming back and coming back. I promise you, your life will change. And I want to thank both JC and Dr. Needham for all that they are giving to us today and that they will give us in the future.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. Yep. And thanks for being here. And I'm sure that, I know that I'm just speaking for one company in particular, is that I know that Peter and Doug is anxious to have this conversation here as to how this could all fit with Cooler Brands. And I think they'll see it when they hear this as well. But I'm excited about that. I know other people are excited about that. I'm excited about Power of Three Squared in itself as well. So I appreciate you being here today. And I know people can see this on the broadcast. If they don't get, everybody is going to get a link for the replay. It's 600-700 people will get that replay as this closes. And it'll be on YouTube. It happens to be on my channel since it's connected to my YouTube channel. And if people just actually searched me out on there, they would find this if they don't get the replay. And it probably should be ready within 15 minutes or so. But again, JC, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Needham, it is a pleasure as well for you to be here for us. I want to thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. And we'll meet Jane next week as well, it looks like. And I'll look forward to it. And Shirley, as always, thanks for monitoring everything for us and keeping us straight. And we will look forward to seeing everyone again next week at the Breakfast Club. And have a great day, everybody. Have a fun and productive day as well. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
Thanks, JC and Dr. Needham,
You bet.
and Joe and Mark.